something I think we have to remind ourselves as adults is, and I truly believe in this, there's no such thing as a bad kid. There's kids that have been in bad experiences, are in a bad experience, and are experiencing trauma or experiencing things in their lives that they're upset about. And I'd be upset about that too. So, to label a kid a bad kid, I really don't believe in that. It's what's going on with that kid and how can we help?
Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of the Pay It Forward podcast. I am one of your hosts, Austin Seaworts, along with my co-host, Keegan Walls, and today we are sitting down with Jake Erickson. Jake is the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club here in La Crosse. He's been the CEO for 8 years and has been involved with Boys and Girls Club for 32 years. So going to talk a lot about the Boys and Girls Club, about community, about giving back, about mentorship, about kids. So Jake's a staple to the community, and we are very excited to have him here today.
Well, thanks for having me, Austin and Keegan. I look forward to spending this time with you guys, so thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Well, let's get right into it. For those that don't know, what's the Boys and Girls Club?
Yeah, so the Boys and Girls Club has a rich history here in the La Crosse area. We're actually going to be celebrating our 60th year a year and a half or so from now. So almost 6 decades of impacting lives and kids, and it's really expanded though. The club, especially when I grew up at the Boys and Girls Club, was a lot of athletics. It was a neighborhood hangout facility. It was probably the best childhood you could ever have, hanging out at the Boys and Girls Club. That still happens, but I'm really proud to say we have a huge footprint in La Crosse County. We serve almost 5,000 kids annually. We see close to 1,000 kids a day walking through our doors. And those kids have an opportunity to still have a fun and safe place to be, but there's mental health support, there's academic support. We're diving into some life and workforce readiness initiatives, huge athletic program, meals are served. It's really hard to sum up what the Boys and Girls Club does because we really try to fit the needs of every child who walks through our doors.
Amazing. And how did you first get involved with it? You were there as a kid?
Well, yeah, you mentioned 32 years. Yeah. What's interesting about me working there for 32 years, that started in high school. So I'm old, but I'm not that old. And a lot of our employees now probably aren't even 32 years old. So I'm the old man at the club. But I started there. It's been a family business. My dad, Terry, was the executive director and worked there himself for almost 40 years. And it's really been a calling for myself and my whole family. So it's what I know. And I just can't imagine ever doing anything else.
Awesome. So you knew from a young age that this is what you wanted to do.
I wasn't quite sure about that. I have 4 other siblings and they're all involved in some way, whether they're volunteering or supporting the organization. But yeah, I happen to be the one that never left. So, I wasn't quite sure. When I was in high school, I'll admit I wasn't the best student. I went to school to play sports. I didn't necessarily apply myself the way that I should have. College was a struggle for me. The whole thing was a struggle. I really look at myself as I was just a club kid. And when I started working there though, and started making connections with the people that I grew up with that became lifelong mentors, I knew this was my calling, and I can't imagine myself ever doing anything else.
So what ways for you, like as a kid at the Boys and Girls Club, like what impact did it have on you as a kid?
The impact it had on me as a kid was my coaches and the staff members, people that I still keep in contact with today, some that have become my best friends. So, I looked at them as mentors, and I looked at them as friends when I was younger, and that's continued. And that's really what the Boys and Girls Club is all about. We have beautiful facilities. We're really fortunate for people that have invested in our facilities in this community, but that's just the vehicle to get kids in the door. And that's really where the magic happens. That's where the relationships are built. That's where, we're providing that support for kids. And I had that as a child. So to see that now happen in more facilities for more kids, it really shapes who you are. And there was a number of individuals at the club growing up that shaped who I am. And now I just love to have an opportunity to create those spaces for other kids.
So there was back, you're not that old, but back in the day.
Day.
Was there just one club or was there multiple locations back then?
Yeah. Well, when I grew up, it was one club on
Okay.
the north side of La Crosse.
Okay.
I actually remember when we were in an old church that no longer exists on the north side. It was called St. John's. I mean, it was falling apart. And fortunately, in the early 80s, the club built what is on the north side of La Crosse. It's now the Terry Erickson Club. It was called the Clinton Street Club back then. This was a big, beautiful new space for kids, the gymnasium, the ping pong, the pool tables, all that. So that was the one Boys and Girls Club. And, over the last few decades, especially, we've expanded where we have 6 locations now in the city of La Crosse. A lot of people don't know that. Almost every kid in the city has a neighborhood Boys and Girls Club that they, if they choose to, they have access to. But we've expanded now to West Salem, Holman, which is our largest club, not only physical size, but also the number of kids that attend, and soon to be in Onalaska. We're in the process of building a new club in partnership with the school district there, and we'll have a brand new club opening in summer of 25. So
Awesome.
we'll have 9 Boys and Girls Clubs in the county. And for a county our size, I've yet to find any other example of that in the country. So we're really fortunate to have these safe spaces for kids.
Yeah. And I mean, this is not possible without the support of the community. Can you talk more about like what makes La Crosse special, the community and the people that have helped grow this into what it is?
Yeah. And, we're so fortunate in this community to have, I look at our buildings. I mean, the names that are on our buildings. We've got a Matthew Boys and Girls Club, a Brennigan Boys and Girls Club, a Skogan Boys and Girls Club, soon to be a Licky Boys and Girls Club, an Erickson Boys and Girls Club. I think about those names, and there's so many other ones behind the scenes that have made our mission possible and have built these spaces for kids and continue to support that. La Crosse is a really special place that way. You hear it all the time. It's not just the billboard. It's not just the chamber trying to put a slogan out there. It's really happening with the amount of people that have supported not only just the Boys and Girls Club, but all the great nonprofits. It's really what makes La Crosse a special place. I can't imagine raising a family anywhere else because of the quality of programming that we have for kids. So I feel really blessed that the community takes care of our organization to make sure that our mission's possible.
Awesome.
In case people haven't been, I've been a part of the Boys and Girls Club, mainly for football, but for those who haven't, what is that mission? Specifically, your locations here, like what are some of the activities and the things and the focus of some of the kids coming into the door?
Yeah. Well, I like to sum the mission up as just one kind of simple statement as our goal is to provide a childhood experience every kid deserves. And we do that in a fun and safe environment. We do that with lots of different programming. But it's to give kids, especially those that may not have the family support that maybe we grew up with, that a lot of kids are fortunate to have. The reality is there's a lot of kids in our community and in all communities that don't have that. If they didn't have a place to go after school or in the summer, they may be going home to a house that, there's no food, there's no parental support, or there's adults that are home that just aren't the environment that they should be in. So, our job is to provide that space for kids, but then when they're there is to make an impact in their childhood and to give them an experience, whatever that experience is that child needs, to give them an experience that's going to shape who they are. And we do a lot. It's really hard to sum up what the club does. I had a wonderful day yesterday in the afternoon before I left the club, just walking around where my office is at the Erickson Club. We had kids in the dance studio that were being provided free guitar lessons from some awesome musicians in the area. I go into one of our gymnasiums and there's volunteers there that are teaching kids archery, another nonprofit that came in and teaching archery. Go into another gymnasium and there's basketball practice going on with these two awesome volunteers that are community members. I go into our teen center and there's kids that are just hanging out, interacting and enjoying their day. There's a UWL group that's in another room reading to kids. So I go around the club and I see all these different things that are happening. And it was just a good reminder of what a cool place it is, but all the people that help make this happen.
So how many staff do you have or volunteers on like a normal day?
Yeah, on a normal day, well, we have over 40 full-time staff now at the club. That's expanded quite a bit over the last few years. We employ over 500 people annually. So it's a big operation that way. There's dozens of part-time staff that work in our clubs on a daily basis. And then volunteer-wise, it's different every day, but we have 1,000 volunteers that come through our doors on an annual basis. So, between volunteers and between our staff, it's close sometimes to 2,000 adults in this community or high school students that are working for us that are coming in and spending time with our kids. So we're really, really fortunate that way.
Yeah, that's incredible. Because then, you look at the buildings and to be able to have 9 locations or whatever in this area, but then beyond that, just get the names on the building, to have 1,000, 2,000 adults in our community, again, would be a testament to what makes this community special. You got them up and running. Well, now do we have the special community that can keep it running? And we do. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we have volunteers that are coming in like you did, Keegan, and are teaching kids dance, exposing them to that activity. And these are kids that can't afford to go to a dance studio. We have kids that are taking violin lessons, voice lessons, guitar lessons. Those are the type of things that are happening at the club that people might know about. People know about our athletic program. We have great tradition in all the main sports, and we've added things like wrestling, and we've got volleyball and all this stuff going on. Almost 2,000 kids annually are in our athletic program, which I'm super proud of. And that's what's built our organization. But I think about all these other things, the mental health support, the cooking lessons that kids are taking, and kind of the list goes on and on. You think about all those life things that you need, right? To be a successful adult someday. Our staff are doing those in our facilities.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that is. I don't know if you know, but I do a lot of work with Kicking Bear.
Yeah.
They've done stuff with you guys as well. And
it was Kicking Bear that was in our gym.
The archery stuff?
Yeah, it was so cool. The whole thing set up, and I'm thinking, archery in our gymnasium. What's going to go wrong here?
Yeah.
But it was so neat to see. I saw some pictures of it yesterday or this morning on our Facebook page. And how cool.
Awesome organization. And but I've been involved with Kicking Bear now since coming here, and almost 10 years, coming here in 2015. But I know the struggles of the underprivileged and at-risk youth in our community, and I know the impact of boys that I've mentored personally that have been going regularly to the Boys and Girls Club, and what the impact that it can have, and that most single moms, they can only do so much. And I think of talking with a young boy that I used to mentor, his mom. She's like, I can only do so much as a mom. There's just some things that I can't do, that I can't provide for my kid, that only a man can provide in a one-on-one mentorship or a Boys and Girls Club. Like, they'd never be able to have those experiences at school. So, really awesome thing for our community to have. But let's talk a little bit more about like the importance of mentorship. Or I saw you had some stats in there. I don't know what they were on, but like, I know the stats on the fatherless in our society, and they are staggering. I don't know them off the top of my head, but like the percentage of fatherless kids that are in prison, or that are addicted to drugs, or that get divorced, or like it's staggering. Like that is the root problem of a lot of things that are happening in our world today. It's not the drugs, the alcohol, stuff like that is kind of a Band-Aid for the real root problem. But let's talk a little bit more about like the mentorship side of things, of what you guys do. like kind of that one-on-one mentorship piece?
Yeah. The number one goal of, and basically the job description that we give to our staff is really with one goal, and that's to develop positive relationships with kids, make an impact on a kid's day. Repeat that as many times as you can, and you're going to find out that you made a major impact on in their lives. And the two of you volunteering and coming into facilities like ours and other nonprofits and spending that time, whatever little bit of time you can spend, if everybody in a community like ours did that for a young person, think about the power of that and the impact we can make. So, that mentorship is so important. And you talked about some stats. Some of the clubs that we serve, some of our locations are almost 100% kids that are living in poverty. So they're free and reduced lunch. They come from single parent households. Some kids might be homeless. They're either couch surfing or living at a place like the Salvation Army. I mean, there's real needs that need to be met. So the more adults that can come into these kids' lives and just help provide some support and just give them a little bit of time, be present in their lives, and somebody who they know cares about them and cares about their day and cares about their future. That kind of stuff I've seen over and over at the club. And it really does make an impact, and it saves lives sometimes. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd encourage anybody to get in any organization to get involved in some sort of mentorship program. It's just fun. Like I mentor through Kicking Bear, and been mentoring a young boy named Caden, and we go hunting and fishing and hang out and use at our Thanksgiving. But like, it's all stuff that I'm doing normally, and it's just more fun having him there. Like, I'd rather watch him. He shot a giant doe gun hunting, and we hunted for 5 days and weren't seeing anything. And like, seeing the smile on his face of him shooting that deer, I could shoot 10 giant bucks and it wouldn't even compare to that. So
makes it all worth it, doesn't it? Yeah.
But it's not a burden to me. Like, it's not a burden for people to come and serve at the Boys and Girls Club. It's fun. You get to do fun stuff that, if whatever talents you have, if you're good at basketball or good at whatever, like coming to coach or teach, it's stuff that you already are good at and like and enjoy. I think it's more fun when you get to do it with kids that wouldn't otherwise have an experience to do it.
And when you're sharing your personal passion like that, it makes it fun. It makes it easy. People ask all the time, like, what can I do at the Boys and Girls Club? What can I do to make an impact? And the first question I ask them is, well, what interests you?
Yeah.
What gets you excited about life, and how do you like to spend your time? What makes you happy? Because if someone can come into one of our facilities and spend time with a kid of what they're passionate about, it just spreads like wildfire.
Yeah. Do you have any stories that come to mind of like specific kids that have been impacted that have really played a huge role in who they've become?
Yeah, I guess there's just a number of stories, and I look at our team, some of the people. I'm really fortunate that I have staff members that have been with our organization. As a small nonprofit, I've got people who are celebrating 10 years, 15 years. One of my valuable team members just celebrated 20 years. So they start as college students and continue to stay with us. And just the number of times that I run into alumni and they talk about one of our team members and the impact that they made and helped shape who they are. Yeah, the stories are endless. For me, I've developed so many relationships, and one of my best friends is a young man that I coached when he was 12, 13, 14 years old. I was like 18, 19 at the time. I had no idea of, really what I was doing and what is the goal here. I was always focused on winning and losing, right? We're going to win 50 baseball games this summer, or we're going to go to every basketball tournament. And we're going to play in championship games. But what I realized at a really young age is that it's not about the winning and losing. That'll take care of itself as long as you're building relationships, and those relationships continue into adulthood. And that's really been the number one and the best experience I've had at the club. A moment for me that I had was, this is why I do what I do. was about 10 years ago. A young man, I was coaching my son's basketball team. So my kids grew up at the club too, which has been a blessing. But I was coaching a young man, and I was picking him up for every tournament, every practice over the winter. Fast forward to summer, I was giving him a ride to a basketball camp, and he didn't want to go into the camp. He got upset, was crying, and I couldn't figure out why. Finally got him to open up. He was homeless, and just finished 6th grade, was couch surfing, homeless. I didn't know this for the last several months. So I called my wife, and I said, "What? You get the spare bedroom ready. This young man's coming to stay with us for the weekend." And that young man lived with my family for the next 6 years. So we got him through the end of middle school, got him through high school. And his sister also came and lived with us her junior year and senior year at Logan High School. And I had no intentions of becoming foster parents, had no intentions of bringing other kids into our home with 2 kids of my own. But that was the moment that I really knew the impact of bringing people into your lives, but also the Boys and Girls Club. Our board, our staff, supporters surrounded our family and helped raise these 2 young people. And it really shaped who I am as an adult, who I am now as a father. And I think it really shaped my kids about how to care and how to learn and how to feel about others. And so that's really been that was a great experience for my family.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and this young lady, another thing that had a huge impact, and the organization allowed me to do is she graduated from UWL as a student athlete there, decided to go on to the University of Maryland and get her graduate degree. And my wife and I flew out to DC for her graduation ceremony. And it's in their basketball arena. I can't remember the name of it, but this huge arena, 10,000 people, whatever. And she comes out of the tunnel, and, you see these kids looking up at graduation ceremonies. They're looking for their parents, or they're looking for who's there to support them. And she sees the 2 of us sitting up in the stands, and she starts waving and waving and waving. And I just started bawling. And my wife's like, "What is wrong with you?" And what came to my mind right in that moment with this young lady who went from homeless to now a college graduate and getting her master's degree is that important moment in her life. What if someone wasn't there for her? And the fact that the Boys and Girls Club allowed me to be there and be part of her life, even after going through our organization. What a major impact that had on her life. And that day, one of the biggest moments in her life, we had the opportunity to be there. And it just reminded me of the biggest value we can give to any person in our lives and in their lives is be present. It doesn't matter what you say. It's the fact that you're there to support. So as much as possible, be present.
That's incredible. Yeah. And I think that's a good analogy for anybody who needs to or wants to get involved with the Boys and Girls Club. Is like, that's a good representation of the youth and what people that don't have somebody there for them. Like that's the analogy for them, which is a lot of times, well, what can I do? I'm not good at this. How would I interact? I don't know what to say, or it makes me nervous. I want to volunteer. I don't know if I'd be good. Ultimately, I just want to be like the youth is so important, and those that don't have stability and consistency, so often you just find, I just want somebody that will be there for me. I just want to be seen. We all do, even as adults. We don't really grow out of that. We just want to be seen. We want to be recognized. We want somebody to be there who loves us and cares for us regardless of circumstance. I just want to be seen. I want to be noticed, and I want somebody to actually care for me. And when you have that, it's amazing what it can do. And that's obviously what the Boys and Girls Club is doing. But you even think about families that have parents that are there, right? Oh, I gave you this, I gave you that, and I was working. And a lot of times kids say, yeah, but I just wanted to spend time with you.
Right.
All I want is somebody to be there that will spend time with me, will see me for me. and like the change that will have in somebody's life, especially when you start it young, when they're developmental years of elementary, middle school, and high school. And so I just think what you guys are doing in the program and the impact it has on future generations, it's just remarkable. So
Yeah, it's so great, and it's contagious. I mean, the number of staff members that we have that go out of their way on a daily basis for kids, that show up to their school concert or show up to one of their athletic events that's not at the club, or help to make sure that they have a birthday present, or they have a new pair of shoes for the first day of school. There's a lot of kids in this community that don't have those opportunities, or maybe don't have gifts underneath the Christmas tree or a Thanksgiving meal to enjoy with their family. Those are all things that happen at the club, thanks to our staff, thanks to our supporters and our community partners that help make that happen. So, that's another big piece of what we do, is what are the basic needs and what are the basic experiences that every kid should have in their childhood. We do everything we can to make sure that happens for every kid possible.
And what are the two kids up to that you...
Yeah.
What are they doing now?
Yeah. So Kamisha is, she works out in Washington, D.C., and she's super successful, got a couple jobs. She's traveling the world. I don't know if she really ever even left the La Crosse area other than to go to Chicago where some family was. So it's super awesome. I mean, she'll call me and, I'm in Mexico for the next month. Like, what do you mean? So she works remote and just goes all over the place. So it's just really neat. And, Floyd, is back in the La Crosse area and is going back to school at Western. And, and he's living a good life and kind of getting things back on track. One of the other things with Floyd is this had such an impact on me. We had dinner one night, I remember, at our house, and I just asked him, I said, give me your number one life goal. What's your number one life goal? And he looked at me and said, I want to be a good father. And when he said that, knowing that he doesn't have a father in his life, and that there's male figures in his life at the Boys and Girls Club that showed him what it's like to care for people. What a cool thing, right? Because that's what we all want. We all want kids to have good parents, right? And I have kids myself, and to me that's my number one job in this world, is to raise my kids and to make sure that they have the best experience in childhood possible. So to hear a young person say that who hasn't had that in life but has recognized the importance, pretty neat.
Yeah, that's amazing. So like, for a lot of people that either work in ministry or work in a nonprofit, and I mean, I worked for Kicking Bear for a period of time and then kind of went back into business. And does it ever, you talk about people that take their passion and turns into a job. Like, kind of stupid, but I think of professional hunters. Like, I love to hunt, and you hear guys that become a professional hunter and then hunting just becomes a job for them. This has been a lifelong work of you giving back, but it is also your job.
Yeah.
Does it feel like a job, or does it feel like you still have the same desire to give back as just giving back, if that makes sense?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely a passion, but it is a job. I mean, we do run a business, and our business is to give kids the best experience possible. Our business is to make sure that our doors are open, that we're able to employ the people that we need to. So, my job at the club, 2 decades ago, was a lot of coaching and a lot of sharing my passion of athletics with kids. It's evolved into, it's a big responsibility. And I have an unbelievable team that helps really make all the magic happen. And I've got great leaders. I've been fortunate to hire some really high quality and high profile community members to come work at the club. And they're a huge part of what we do, but it is a big responsibility. The responsibility of making sure that we can raise the annual funds that need to be raised, and we can keep good quality partners. It's definitely a job, but it's a job that has the biggest and best rewards possible, right? I mean, what you're doing is making such an impact on kids and families that part definitely does not feel like a job.
Yeah. Talk a little bit more about your dad and the role that he played, inspiring you to do what you're doing, and talk about kind of what he did. And
Yeah. I think about what brought me to youth development and working with families and kids, and it's definitely my parents. Mentioned my dad, Terry, worked at the club since he was in high school, just like me, and spent his whole career, and he still continues to substitute and coach and do what he can for kids. So that definitely shaped who I am, but also my mom. She was in education at Onalaska Middle School for over 30 years, and she was an educator. So having parents at home that were giving their lives outside the house to other kids and making their impact, it shaped who I am. It shaped who my siblings are. I have a sister that's a principal at Hamilton Elementary School. I have another sister who teaches in Madison. I have a brother that has an insurance company, but he coaches and is on boards that are impacting kids. I have another sister that volunteers basically year round at the Boys and Girls Club. So, our entire family, this has been a passion, and so we were really blessed to have parents that led the way for us.
very cool. What is your guys' biggest need right now? Is it volunteers? Is it money?
Well, I'm in development, so I mean that's what I do, right?
Yeah.
So I mean the biggest challenge moving forward for especially our organization is we've grown and we've grown fast. Our budget continues to grow, and there's a reason for that, right? The reason is there's a need. There's definitely a need. Our mental health program, we have 5 full-time mental health professionals. We've added academic directors. We're building this workforce development center on the north side. It's going to be over a $6 million addition onto the Terry Erickson Club. That's going to provide hands-on experience for kids to get them ready for the workforce. If they're not college ready, or they choose to go into skills trades, or they choose to go into some sort of STEM career that maybe doesn't require a 2 or 4 year degree, or they just need to get some work in and save some money to go to college. So all of these initiatives are going to need sustainability. So the community has supported us. Lots of great supporters are helping build these centers and build these programs up. The next big step for us is to make sure that we have sustainability dollars, endowment dollars. So continuing to find partners out there that want to invest in kids and help create those great futures for kids that all of our programs are setting out to do.
Cool. Tell us more about the center that you're
going
to be adding on.
So it's really exciting. We'll be making some big announcements next year. We've designed a 16,000 square foot addition into the back of the club. It'll be 2 stories. It provides some much needed office space, support center space for us. But a majority of the building will be workforce readiness. So workforce development training. They'll have a construction lab, a media lab. I hope kids have their own podcasts out of there someday. So maybe you guys can come and volunteer and help out with that.
Yeah.
An entrepreneurship center, a STEM area, innovation lab, a life skills area where it'll be set up kind of like a studio apartment. So teach kids how to wash dishes, how to make their bed, how to do laundry. It'll have a washer and dryer in there. So, when you think about all those life skills that kids are going to need to be successful someday, that's what the center will offer. Late in elementary school, we'll start bringing kids in and getting them exposed to the facility and everything it has to offer, and really start with middle school kids with getting hands-on experience. What it would be to be a welder someday, or what it would be to have a career in healthcare, or open your own business, or again, have your own podcast someday. That's what the center will offer. And it's really it's the first of its kind, in Western Wisconsin. It'll be one of the largest centers like this in the country for Boys and Girls Clubs.
Wow.
And it'll be a game changer, for kids, and it'll be a game changer, I hope for our community. It'll strengthen our community. It'll help fill some of the needs right now for workforce. And we've got a lot of great partners that are involved and are going to make this happen.
That's super. That's super cool. I know some of my college roommates definitely could have used those life skills of how to wash dishes and do their laundry. You can always tell the kids who their moms did everything for them. So that's an important
You're
skill.
speaking to my wife right now. She's like, my husband still doesn't know how to wash dishes.
Awesome. Go ahead, Keegan.
Yeah. So yeah, I want you to just kind of speak to like the day to day, because we've talked about like the big success stories, and I think that's what people see is, you sow a seed, and then all of a sudden, Floyd says, "Well, I want to be a great father," and then that the impact you had on his life is going to go to the next generation. But that is like, 5 years down the road, or you're seeing like the start and the finish. The actual day to day isn't always that glamorous and isn't always that beautiful. You have to walk through hard things. There's not always success stories. So can you talk about that, like the day to day with the Boys and Girls Club, and even just some of like the reality of when you choose to be a nonprofit or to serve, you have like the end game in mind of where you want them to get and do everything you can to love them to get them there. But again, when you're talking every single day, it's not always as glamorous and beautiful. So can you just talk and share those kinds of stories?
You've obviously been in the Boys and Girls Club already because the day-to-day can be a struggle. It's a busy place. We have kids that are maybe having a tough day, maybe just need to get regulated a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, you're exactly right, Keegan, is that, there are struggles every day. But, what if there wasn't a place like the Boys and Girls Club for those kids? Then they might not have an opportunity to figure out who they are and make some corrections in their behaviors and some of their life goals. But it is a struggle. And I think it's great when people come in and see that. Kids are struggling. Teachers are having a tough time right now just because of the behaviors. We still have a lot of work to do with kids and coming off the pandemic. Just to get them to be socially comfortable again, dealing with anxiety and depression. There's a lot of stats out there. One of the stats that I saw recently, which was a huge aha for me, is nationwide in a big survey that was done, 42% of high school kids have felt major depression or felt anxiety to the point where they needed help. 42% of kids. So you think about going into a local high school and almost half of the young people that are in the high school have some sort of need around mental health. So, those are the things that we're working on addressing on a daily basis. And that's why one of the biggest, most important initiatives we have right now is our mental health services. We call it Youth and Family Services. We've got 5 employees, one in each of our main clubs, that are there to just help kids get through the day, figure out what other resources they might need. They're doing some large group programming. They're training our staff. That's the future of working with kids, is knowing what is the need for every kid and trying to figure out a way to make sure that they feel good about themselves.
Why do you think the stat's 42%? Just from what you see, why is it so high?
It's a combination of things. I really think recovering from the pandemic is something we still have to keep focusing on. Social media, the exposure to things that kids should not be seeing on social media, comparing themselves to what they see on social media, maybe not having some of those friendships and that support that they have in their lives. I can't imagine going back 30 years and being a high school student right now or a middle school student. It's a different world. And I think that's something as adults we need to remember. You can't compare the experience that a kid is having right now to the experience we had. And something I think we have to remind ourselves as adults is, and I truly believe in this, there's no such thing as a bad kid. There's kids that have been in bad experiences, are in a bad experience, and are experiencing trauma or experiencing things in their lives that they're upset about. And I'd be upset about that too. So, to label a kid a bad kid, I really don't believe in that. It's what's going on with that kid and how can we help?
Yeah, I think social media alone, we've had Brett Knutson on who owns Tripless Recovery, and he just talks about that's like the next thing that they're treating for is like social media addiction and everything that has to do with that. I mean, there's a lot of good that comes out of social media. We wouldn't have this podcast would not be here without social media, but there is a lot of dangers, especially for young kids, on social media and free access to the internet and all the garbage that's out there. So I think that's a huge part of it for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, there's a lot of great things.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about, what social media and what technology can offer to us. It is the future of a productive society. But what kids are being exposed to in the screen time that's happening, there's not enough of this human interaction. And that's what we try to do, right? And that's what I try to do even at my house with my family and my kids, is let's put that phone down and let's talk, I'll text that to them probably so that they hear it, right?
Look up.
Dinner question mark? Yeah. You're not getting it if you don't put that phone down.
Exactly. That's funny. A little bit on you personally. We don't have notes on this, but you brought it up beforehand. You lost 70 pounds. What prompted that for you?
Yeah, I did. I'll tell you, it was a few years ago. I decided, I looked at a picture of myself and I was 240 pounds at 5'10". No, that's what my license says. I'm not 5'10". We all walk on those things, right?
Yeah, I'm 6'8".
But no, I wasn't taking care of myself physically, and it was starting to affect my mental health personally, and so decided to make a change and bought a Peloton. Not trying to push Peloton, but that's what it was.
This episode is brought to you.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we'll send it off. But bought some exercise equipment and decided to make a change, and the weight started to fall off, and started to feel better about myself, and I decided to get into running, which is something I said I would never do. But ran a mile, finished that, and decided, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm all in. So I registered for a marathon. And 10 months later, I ran the Chicago Marathon and finished under 4 hours. So
Sweet.
It's really proud of my time. I was a little too fast the first 15 miles. I was trying to qualify for Boston. I don't know what I was thinking. I was on a pace of being around 3:20, and that's an experienced runner's time. So I hit the wall at 20 miles. I was on the ground. I didn't think I could finish. Spectators and people were helping me get Gatorade, bananas, helping me stretch. I called my wife on my watch and I said, there's no way I can finish this. And then I thought to myself, what the heck are you doing? You just trained for 10 months. You didn't miss one. I didn't miss one training run. I completed them all the way I was supposed to. I got up off the ground and I finished that race. So it was life-changing for me.
Yeah. I mean, talk about more how the impact that had on you just as a leader, taking care of your body and being a leader to others.
Yeah, it's created a lot of clarity for me, just in who I am, what I'm all about, and it's something that I wish I would have started at a much younger age. It's made me a better person. Yeah. Just being physically active. It's made my kids more physically active. My son just completed a half marathon.
Cool.
He went to Madison for 4 years, so he literally went from couch to half marathon. And we're registered for a marathon, him and I, next year up in Duluth, Grandma's.
Cool.
My daughter is a fitness instructor now at the University of Wisconsin as a freshman. She's starting to teach fitness classes, and my wife is physically active now. So it's kind of changed our family, but it's made me a better husband. It's made me a better father, and it's made me a better friend and better leader. It's just taking care of myself.
Yeah. Did you have to change your eating habits too, or was it more exercise?
I did, man. I spent 3 months counting calories.
Yeah.
1,200 calories almost every day
That's low.
for 3 months. I eliminated any alcohol, even socially, for 2 months. So I put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
I still try to eat healthy. You know, I'll cheat once in a while.
Yeah.
The Thanksgiving break here didn't help at all.
Yeah.
But what I found is my metabolism is where I need to be. I really don't fluctuate more than maybe a few pounds here or there. But I just got to keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I personally have I'm doing the deficit right now and tracking calories, and but you can tell when you're not taking care of yourself. And I was never like super fat or overweight. But you can tell when you're kind of just on coast mode, and the impact that plays on other areas of your life than just kind of go on coast mode too. But if you're intentional about taking care of your body, taking care of your health, I mean, it is an obvious change into every other aspect of your life.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was so focused on the goal and running the miles I needed to and all that, kind of lost sight of why I was doing why I was doing this. I saw something recently that gave me a lot of clarity on this. It said, you know, the running and the miles isn't the goal. It's better sleep. It's less anxiety, less depression, and just being a better person, right? So, you know, we get so focused on goals, and I still get caught up in that. Like, I got to finish this race at this time, or I got to get in these miles. And of course, it's great to have those goals, but to remember why we do what we do, it's just to be a better person, be a better leader, be a better neighbor, be a better friend.
Yeah. Is there a health and fitness aspect to what you guys do at Boys and Girls Club?
Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, we try to get kids as active as possible in our gymnasiums, and in the summer, there's a lot of outdoor activities. Our athletics, there's a ton of obviously teams and activity space. Something really cool that happened in our mental health department in the month of October. It was Depression Month. And they got kids out walking. And so they did 20 minutes a day out of our teen centers and got kids walking and talking and feeling better about themselves. And the goal is to screen them for depression, and to see where they were at. But they did a survey before and after the 30-day run, and the same result. You know, kids felt better about themselves. They felt more, you know, they just felt like they accomplished something, but the anxiety levels went down, the depression levels went down, their communication improved. So that's just, I believe so much in that.
Yeah. Yeah. My nutrition coach is always on me about getting my steps in and going for a walk. But man, you feel better afterwards. You go for a walk and you're like, I don't want to, it's cold. Now it's get home from work and it's dark. So you're walking in the dark, but you feel good after you're done. And it's just a walk. It's not hiking up the mountain or lifting a bunch of weight. Anybody can go for a half-hour walk.
Exactly. Yep.
Cool. Tell us a little bit about being the Riverfest Commodore. What, for those that don't know what that is, and tell us about that.
Yeah, no, that's probably one of the biggest honors I've received in the community. Really didn't think I was at that level or worthy of a recognition like that. But that is it's an unbelievable group, obviously attached to Riverfest, which is a big community celebration. Just had our 40th celebration a couple years ago. It's quite the honor. It's a great group of people that really helped make lacrosse happen. I think of people like Pat Stevens, who was a Commodore 30 years ago, and Rotary Lights has happened because of him, and most of the celebrations in our community, people like Pat and others that are involved with the Commodores. It's a really special group of people. It's added almost another family. It's something that my wife and I have been able to do together. So a Commodore and First Mate, and I couldn't think of a better group to call friends and to celebrate and be in parades and Christmas parties and all kinds of stuff. It's been really, really neat. It's given us an unbelievable support system of people that have done a lot for this community.
Very cool.
It was really neat. I had a great year. I ended my last day of Commodore in this last year. I ended flying in the Blue Angels. I don't know if you guys saw
I think
that.
I did see that.
Yeah. So
Tell us about that.
couldn't
I'd be throwing up, man.
Yeah. I couldn't tell anyone about this until it was official. I had to pass a physical. There's requirements. You have to get passed basically from the Pentagon. I had to do a background check. I mean, there was a lot to this. You don't just show up at Colgan Air and get in a $30 million jet, I guess, unless you've been vetted. So they vetted me, and I knew this was happening for at least a couple months before it happened. But it was quite the experience, man. I mean, walking out in a flight suit with this pilot that's, like 6'4", 30 years old, looks like something out of Top Gun, and then there's me, it was like, what the heck, but yeah, we got up in that plane, and we left the airport, and within 30 seconds or so, we're going straight up over French Island, vertical, and we're hitting like almost 7 Gs right out of the airport, and it was quite intense.
Did you pass out?
Did you go out at all?
I did not. No. It's like, oh, you must have did a bunch of training and all this. They give you maybe like a 30-minute instruction.
The bite down, the push down.
Yeah, tighten your legs and keep your core strong, and just don't pass out. But
did you feel like you had to fight it though?
I did. Yeah. The last maneuver he did, the pilot did. He's turning and doing the 360 and all that, and I asked him before, I said, how long do I have to hold this for? Because they asked you, too, what kind of flight you want? I said, give it to me, man. I want all of it. Yeah. I'm never going up in a jet like this again, right? So he was really cool about it, but they explain everything. And but, yeah, one of the last maneuvers, he said, you got to hold this for like 30 seconds. It doesn't sound like that long, but when you're going almost 7.5 Gs it was, for 30 seconds, I got to second like 29, and I felt it. Like I'm going, and I'm like, just hold on. I held on. I did not pass out, and I did not get sick, which is common. People get sick, and they give you some little bags and show you how to stuff it away so no one sees it. But the whole thing was on video. They had a GoPro going the whole time. So
we would have known if you passed.
You would have known.
You come out of the jet really wobbly.
Yeah.
You're carrying,
Yeah, and I'm scared of heights, man. I can't go up like in some of the big buildings in Chicago, or even when I fly. Like I'm scared of heights. It's a fear of mine. But people ask me, "How are you going to do this?" I'm like, "Well, I'm in a $30 million jet with this highly trained pilot. I think I'll be fine."
No, that's awesome. Yeah, because I've watched the Blue Angels documentary. Because my oldest son was obsessed with them, and he still talks about them. Man, when they're flying in the air practicing, he loves the Blue Angels, so that's pretty sweet that you got a ride in that.
It was quite the honor. I mean, it was thanks to some of the Commodores and the people that make Airfest happen, and I was thankful that I got selected to do this. I really saw it as representing the Boys and Girls Club and representing kids, and but yeah, that was a really cool experience.
Sweet. I would
Nobody's
love to
getting
do
an
that.
opportunity to ride in those. So
Nope.
yeah, you gotta say yes to that,
Yeah.
and to not pass out.
Did not pass
Crazy.
out. Yeah,
That is awesome.
yeah,
7 Gs.
yeah.
I'd be out.
Yeah.
For sure. I just don't like the spinny stuff, like spinny roller coasters and stuff. I can do fast and big drops and all that sort of stuff, but you start spinning. I can't even sit in the back seat of a car.
Oh yeah, no, I
getting
can do the
sick.
flips and stuff. But yeah, I mean, you watch the amount you have to. I say, oh man, no, I think I could hold it out. I'd probably.
So you
out.
can't breathe when that's happening. You're like just squeezing.
You're squeezing. I mean, you need to breathe, otherwise you'll. I mean, but you're like, they give you like what the breathing exercises. Sure, you're doing this, and but yeah, you're just doing everything you can to just
Because it's like you got to flex.
stay awake.
Don't they have some suits where they got like a special whatever to help you flex or whatever? But you
Yeah.
don't get that one, right?
No,
They give you the real ones. Like,
Yeah, no, there was no. Yeah, the suit that does that for you, which the pilots use when they're going, like 10 Gs type of thing, and they train in those. No, they didn't give me any of that. No.
You can put that's like a resume thing. I flew in the Blue Angels full speed and held it.
And held it. Yeah. 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 I stayed awake.
Awesome.
Well, one thing that I got a couple questions here just to end us off, but one that I really think would be a good one is just from the kids that you've worked with, have there been any lessons that you've learned for them that would be good for like our viewers who are adults? Is there something that you've learned from the kids you've served and worked with that would be a valuable lesson for some of our adult listeners?
Yeah, I think about that, like what I learned from kids and what I can learn from kids right now, and I really think that's accepting others and having the ability to accept people for who they are, and to give apologies, accept apologies from people. I think as adults, we're judgmental, a little too judgmental. At times, and we can't see people for who they are. That's probably the most important lesson that I'm learning from kids right now. As kids are changing, as their viewpoints are changing, is we can learn a lot from them by just listening, and not telling them how they should be living their lives, not lecturing them, but listening to what they're passionate about and not judging others. That would probably be the most important thing.
And then to leave us off, what do you hope your legacy will be at the end of all this? Like, what do you want to be remembered for? That can include, like, where do you see yourself and the Boys and Girls Club going in the future? But ultimately, when you give your life to this and you're done, what do you want your legacy to be in this community and just you as a person?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer, is what do you want your legacy? Because I really do have a hard time talking about myself. And I learned that from one of my mentors. It's not about you, it's about us. To be humble is something that I really strive to be. If you would have known me 20 years ago, I may not have been the most humble person. I've done a lot of work on who I am and how I present myself, how I treat others. So I think about what I want my legacy to be, is that I really cared about others. But most importantly, I was supportive. I was a good father. I was a good husband, and I was a good friend. And so, but you think it's so hard. It's such a hard question to think about. It's like, what do you want your legacy to be? And how do you want people to remember you, or how do you want people to describe you when they describe you to others? We all just want to be a good person, right? And someone who it's about others. It's not about them. Sometimes in leadership, we get stuck into, it's about us. It's about us needing to be, the front person. It's about us needing to make the big decision. It's really not about us. It's about others, and it's about what you have done to make others better, what you have done, to help others.
Did you hear when they asked Mike Tyson, what do you want your legacy to be? Nothing. I'm going to be dead. Nothing. He didn't have an answer.
There you go.
Yeah. But I think Mike, he's I don't know if you call him humble, but I don't think he thinks much of himself.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But
think about a guy like that though, and the success.
Totally, yeah.
The story of where he came from and the things.
There's a lot of things he could say of what he wants his legacy to be.
But that's humble.
Yeah.
So
cool. Jake Erickson, thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate this time, and enjoyed spending the afternoon with you guys.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
This was great. And then, for anybody that wants to get involved, we'll attach your website and your links and stuff below so that they can reach out and get involved in any way that they can.
I think we got to put in a video of him in the jet too.
Oh, dirt. Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the Pay It Forward podcast. If you want to find out more about how you can support the podcast or become a sponsor, please click the link below or visit our website, payitforwardpodcast.com. Again, thank you so much for your support, and we hope that you can find a way this week to pay it forward.